Welcome back to another Crop Walk Wednesday. So we're starting off here in one of the arable silage fields which we mowed a few weeks ago. So it's coming back quite nice in spots. You can see here there's a lovely bit of grass and a lovely bit of clover, but out there in the middle of the field the peas lay down on it a little and have hurt the grass, but it's not too bad. It looks really well over there and down along that headland. The headlands are nearly the best part, which is amazing. You can see there's a bit of striping going on here, just a small bit. So this arable silage was sown with the Earth Agri seeder in one pass. So we sowed the arable silage mix, so the barley and the peas, through the main hopper and down into the discs, into the coulters, and were sown into the ground. Whereas the grass was being blown out the back and just broadcast across the top. So it didn't work great this year because it was a bit dry, whereas on our rented sheep ground we double drilled it. So we drilled it the first time quite deep, or not quite deep, but like deeper with the barley and the peas, and then drilled it shallower, sown the grass and the clover, and it's come back a lot nicer. It's a very even crop, probably a nicer reseed. So just the year that was in it, a bit less moisture, the seed that got better, seed soil contact just came up stronger and did better. But it's not too bad. There's a lovely bit of clover there up along that edge. And like it is all there, even in the bare spots. You can see it's still coming. So we're not too disappointed. It'll come right eventually, but we'll get a grazing off it here now soon enough, and then hopefully leave it for a while and it'll all be a lovely reseed. But that is how the arable's coming back, not even 2 weeks after. It has got a bit of liquid end. You can see the clover didn't like it too much. The leaves are a little bit hurt looking, but there's a lovely colour off the grass and the clover, so we're well happy. But I think that's enough here from the reseed, so we'll go look at the fodder beet, I suppose. So we're up here now in the fodder beet, and as you can see, we've got the Alcantai on the left here. We've 2 bangers, 1 bolero. So that is how the beet is looking. I'd say I've just picked out a big bolero this week because it looks a lot bigger than the rest of them. And as we were saying before, the bolero seemed to be struggling, but that beet definitely isn't. But that's the size of the beet 2 weeks after the last video. And then if you look out at the field, it's not looking too bad at all. It's still a nice colour. The leaves are a little bit shriveled up because it's been quite warm here over the last few days, and you can see there's a few weed beets out there and a bit of chard. Chard is a baby leaf salad that we grow, and it's in the same family as the beet, so you can't spray it out of it. So it grows up real stemmy and puts out seeds, and it just looks a bit messy, but it's just the way the rotation is. We always end up with a few chard plants in it, so it makes the field look a lot more messy than it actually is. But the beet is definitely not struggling at all. The trace elements and the nutrition is definitely pretty good because those leaves are good and healthy and good and strong, and there's plenty there for the armour salmon to grab when we're pulling them. So we're happy enough with how the beet is looking. The leaves are gone. A few leaves are a little yellow compared to 2 weeks ago, but it's nothing to be worried about. Most of them are looking quite well. So I think we'll go look at the maize now. But I just have to say about the arable silage, it was cut 3 weeks ago. So the regrowth I was showing you there is exactly 3 weeks. So it's not looking too bad. We would have rathered if the peas hadn't laid down on it in the middle of the field. It would make it look a lot nicer, but there's nothing we could do about it. It should come right once we get a grazing or 2 off it, but I think that'll do it for up here in the fodder beet field. So we'll go look at the maize. So we're just walking here through our spring barley. In the last crop walk we were saying we didn't know would we have it cut yet or not, but as you can see we have it cut and baled up. So this is a sneak peek for upcoming videos. There's a stack right there that gives you a big hint to what you're gonna see, but that's our spring barley all done and dusted, so you won't be seeing any more of that in the crop walks. But we're just over here to the maize now, so we'll have a look at that. So now we're here in the MAIZE. We've started off here in the prospect, and this is the cob on the prospect. So it's matured quite a bit in the last 2 weeks, and you can see a lot of them are finished pollinating, but then there is a few still not completely finished. But this cob was completely finished pollinating, and as you can see, it is quite a mature one. There's 35 grains going up. I'll just break it. And there's 13 grains going around, so that's not a bad cob at all. Be very happy with that. And as I said before, this is the prospect, so it is earlier maturing compared to the resolute. So the cob in here will be a good bit further on than the resolute, but height wise it is probably done now. You can see there is the odd really tall plant in it, but most of them are kind of that height. That's probably a little over 8 foot. That one will be about 9 foot. I'd say average 9 feet. So not too bad. That prospect has come on a lot from where we first thought it'd be, but we'll go look at the resolute, and then I'm going to put the drone up as well, and we'll see what it looks like from above, because it's all well and good looking at it from down here and saying it looks a bit thin, but it'll be interesting to see what it looks like from the drone. So we're now here in the resolute, and we're stood here in probably one of the strongest parts of the field, and as you can see, it is looking really tall. I'd say there's plants here and they could be 13 or 14 feet. Where I'm stood now is definitely a good 12, but there is taller in there. But if we walk in there, you're just not going to see me at all. So we'll just stay here, and I've grabbed a cob off one of the plants, and as you can see, it is definitely not as mature as the prospect, but there's still 35 grains there. So if all of those fill out properly and get pollinated, we'll be in a good way with grains per plant. So that would be really nice to see. It doesn't look as big a cob yet because those grains aren't as mature. As they mature, the cob will obviously get a bit longer because the grains will fill out, and just that's how it works. Because as you could see on the prospect, they looked a lot more like sweet corn, whereas they just look kind of like bubbles on a cob. So that's how the resolute is looking. You definitely know it's a later maturing variety, but you can see where the extra tonnage comes from because it's a good bit taller. But we will put the drone up now. I think that's enough looking at the cobs. As you can see, they are a good bit behind the prospect, but size wise there's nothing wrong. When you're looking at cobs of corn, you always look for the straightness of the rows, and a sign of stress in maize is when there's a big curve in the, or not a curve, when there's a bit of a kind of zigzag in the row. You can see at one point it was stressed out, whereas they are looking fairly straight. You can't get much better than that, so we're very happy with that. Basically what you're looking for when you're looking at the cob is you're looking for uniform cobs, and as you can see there's very little sign of stress on that, so it shows that this plant anyway has gone the whole way without any stress really, which is nice to see, because it's just as nice to see that there was no stress on the plant. But there's no guarantee every plant's like this, but it's nice to see that this one definitely is anyway. So you're just looking for straightness in the rows, and consistency is the main thing. So that's a good uniform cob, and if that fills out well, there'll be a good corn yield off that plant. But we'll put the drone up now and we'll see what it looks like from above. So we have the drone up in the sky now, and there's a big empty spot there. The drill man obviously missed it, but you can see the weed spray worked anyway, because at least it's clean. But the crop actually looks fairly consistent. We didn't really know what to expect putting the drone up. Looking at it sideways now, you can see there is a bit of inconsistency in it. But you can still kind of make out the rows, which we didn't really expect. We thought because we drilled it more dense than usual, you wouldn't really see the rows in it, but you can obviously see there in the centre of the screen, that's a tyre track. So there's a big gap between those two rows, but that maize doesn't look too bad, and there's a nice colour off it. And it actually all seems a similar height. I want to be careful not to get the drone stuck in the maze, so I can't really fly too close to it, but you can see there the really tall spot is in the corner, and as I was saying before, it's probably 13 or 14 feet, but you can see the maze around it is a very similar height. There definitely is a bit of a high spot there, but so this is the Resolute we're looking at right now, and then right beside it here is the Prospect. Kind of hard to see on the drone, maybe it's just the way the sun is. So we'll just fly up over the ditch here and go into the Prospect and see what it looks like. Once again, you can still make out the rows. Doesn't look too bad. The drone's giving out about being too far away, but it seems to be. It actually looks more dense than I'd expected. Oh, maybe not. When you look straight down into it, you can kind of see the gappiness of it. Whereas in the Resolute you couldn't, but you can definitely see a few gaps there. But we kind of expected the Prospect to look like this, because it does feel a bit thinner when you're walking through it compared to the Resolute. But the Resolute was sown at a slightly higher seed rate than it's meant to be. The Prospect was sown at exactly what it should be, so that could also be a factor, but it doesn't look too bad. The centre of the field is pretty decent. There's a bit there on the right hand side that looks a bit thin, but the left hand side isn't too bad at all. It is interesting to look at the maze from this point of view. It kind of gives you an idea of what the field looks like. It's all well and good walking through it, but it's hard to see the whole field. So you can see there, consistency wise, it's not too bad. We'll just do the same kind of flight now in the Resolute and see what it looks like. When you do the two videos right after each other, you do see the difference, and that Resolute looks quite a bit different to the Prospect. You'd definitely say it's looking more consistent and denser. But as I said before, it is at a slightly higher seed rate than what you'd usually sow Resolute. But that's not bad at all. We're very happy with how the Resolute looks this year. As we were talking about before, the height of it is really nice, and as you can see here from the drone, the consistency is pretty good as well. But that's the Resolute. Doesn't look too bad at all. So I think that'll do it for the maze for today's video. So we will go up and we'll have a quick look at the red clover and see how it's growing for its third cut. So we're just up here in the red clover finishing off today's video. So it's the same story up here as it is in the arable silage. This was mowed exactly 3 weeks ago. So I'll just take you out of the sun. Hopefully you can see there's a lovely crop of red clover coming back on it. Even the grass is coming back quite well. So as I said before, there was 18 units of liquid nitrogen put out on this, and that's all it's got and all we're planning on giving it. So it's growing back pretty well now for the third cut. Hopefully get it about the 20th of September. But it's really not looking too bad at all. Very happy with how this field is performing. As I said in the last few crop walks, this is in over 3 years now and still looking really well. But we're very happy with that red clover, and there's a nice crop on it. It's probably, in spots, it's nearly knee high when you lift the plant up. So that's not looking too bad at all, but I will get this video wrapped up and hopefully get it edited and put up a bit earlier than the last one. But that is it for me today. So if you did enjoy the video, make sure you give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. If you've any questions, feel free to leave them down below in the comments. I'll do my best to get back to you, but there'll be another crop walk in 2 weeks time, and there'll be a normal video on Saturday. So that is it for me today. I'll see you in the next one.